Hey, what's going on, guys? Nick from Practically Tactical. I'm here with Jesse from ForestCityTatical, and today
we're doing some trigger jobs.
That's right. So, before everybody jumps into the comments and freaks out about, oh my God, we're changing triggers out of carry guns.
Setting gun up for killing people.
That's right. We're going to do another video addressing that directly, so hold off on those comments. We're going to be discussing that in another video. Also, when we had Brandon LaBeouf on for the EDC episode, I believe episode 69 or 71, 72. One of those with Brandon LaBeouf. He actually goes into that into the show, so you guys can check that out. But basically what we're doing today is we have the OC custom triggers that we're going to be putting into our gun and showing you guys the install and taking a look at it here.
Ooh.
So Jesse actually has it in his Gen 4 Glock 19, and then we're going to put it in my Gen 3 Glock 17, showing you guys some of the features that they offer with their trigger. So, but before we jump to that, Jesse, I think it's an important thing, when people think, okay, you're modifying a trigger, you're going for the lightest trigger. And that's not necessarily what we're going for in this project, right?
No, definitely not. To me, it's all, about a crisp trigger. So I want to take out all that pre-travel. I want to depress that plunger and be almost to the wall immediately, Even in the most expensive triggers, you're going to have just a slight amount of movement there, no matter what. But you want to be pretty close to the wall, break, reset, a nice crisp reset that pushes you straight to the wall again,
Yeah.
I don't think the difference between 3.5 or 4.5 pounds is really the maker there,
Exactly. So again, that tactile reset I think is really important, especially if you're doing string shots or whatever, you're taking a class. There's a lot of good things that tactile reset is something that we do not want to lose.
No, I think in the lighter you're going to go in that, you're going to notice that you almost have to slap the trigger to come out.
Yep.
With using more of the stock parts in there, you get that nice crisp where again it just pushes you right to that wall every time. It's going to bring you back to that same spot, and you're going to be right to the breaking point again. You're not going to have to, come out past it and then come back into it, which is going to cause slap. That's going to cause you to, deviate your rounds a little bit.
Just puts more movement into your actual trigger pull, which thus, again, is generally going to make you less accurate or more difficult to make accurate shots.
Slower split times.
Yeah, exactly. So again, so what we're doing here is we're looking to take up that take. We're looking to take out the take up. We still want a crisp, clean break, and we want a nice short reset, but a tactile reset. So, guys, we're going to jump into the installation here, showing you guys some differences of the stock versus the OC trigger and their whole complete system. So, you ready to make some badass triggers?
Oh, man. It's a difference maker for sure.
It is. So, all right, guys, let's jump to it here. We're going to show you guys some differences and the install of the OC trigger system here. So, let's jump to it. All right, guys, so before we get to the install, let's go over exactly what we ordered and what we'll be putting into our ultimate concealed carry handgun. So you go to OCCustomTriggers.com. Now, when you go there, you got to make sure you order the correct model for your gun. So, for example, if you have a Gen 3 17, that is different than a Gen 4 17. Gen 1 through 3 will be all the same. Then depending on what parts you order, Gen 3 versus Gen 4 will be different, especially the trigger. So what we did here is you get a bunch of options. Number one would be the color of the trigger safety. So as you can see here, I went straight gangster and went with the gold trigger. Nothing says gangster like gold. So we ordered that part right there. And then we also did go ahead and order the OC enhanced trigger. Now here's what that does, and we'll show you a comparison here, is that trigger safety goes absolutely flat. Now, you might be saying to yourself, that's really not worth it. But I can tell you, when you go ahead and order it and get your hands on it, it is tremendously worth it. So we'll do a close-up here showing the actual difference.
Yeah.
So right here, you can see the comparison. We have Jesse's with the OC trigger right here, and then we have just the stock Glock trigger right here. Now, that sits completely flush, you can see on his gun, and not on mine. Now, you might say to yourself, well, that's really not a big deal. And maybe Jesse can confirm this here. When you actually start getting your fingers on the trigger, it makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Oh, it makes all the difference in the world. I mean, especially for shooting extended periods of time, you're really going to notice that little that extra 16th that it moves back there to go flush. I mean, you get a lot better trigger figure placement on there, and it just feels a lot better. I'd say at first, that was kind of one of the upgrades. I was kind of like, I don't think I'm going to actually need that. Not worth the extra $30. But after putting it into it, I would say I highly, highly recommend that.
Yes. So that's the first part. And then what we also did and ordered here was the over travel eliminator. So what that does right here is it's going to basically replace your ejector housing. And then right back here, it's hard to see on the camera. We'll zoom in here. Is right here, you basically can put in an Allen key right there. And then what that does, you see the screw right there. You can basically eliminate all over travel out of your trigger. That is a very, very nice upgrade as well. Then what also we have here is we selected the Zeb Race Connector, this part right here, that connects to your trigger bar. Now you will notice here that it's a very high polish. I mean, Jesse, you've shot your gun 1 billion times. Let's show a comparison there. If we can get this to zoom right. Let's show Jesse's there. So there's Jesse's stock trigger right there. You won't be able to see right up inside of it right in here. But Jesse, you've put thousands and thousands of rounds through your gun. Dry fired 1 billion more times. So it's smoothed out, but if you look at the polish that the stock OC comes, it's a really, there's no comparison.
Never get it there. Never get it there by just shooting for sure. I'd seen that a lot in the forums of where people said, just put an appropriate amount of rounds. And yeah, I was sitting at about, I don't know, 15,000 on this gun right now. So, I mean, it's dirtier, obviously, but even after I've tried to polish it up with the 25-cent Glock trigger job, it comes nowhere close to that high of a polish. So.
Now, you will see on mine that you see there is a little abrasion wear right there. I have had this in my gun. I just want to put it in, test it out, make sure everything functions, the install and everything, and then I've taken it back out. So that abrasion you see right there is from me having my gun. And what we'll do is we'll take out the Glock trigger here, and I'll show you guys a close-up on the Zeb Z4 Race Connector.
One thing right here, Nick was talking about the difference on the Gen 4, and right there is what is going to be the difference, is that Gen 4's got that little nub.
Versus Gen 3.
So that's when you're choosing your options. That's why, without that, the Gen 4 is just slightly different.
So here's a better look here at the Zeb Tech.
Obviously the extractor.
Oh yeah, there's a difference on the extractor there too. So again, make sure you order the correct one, or otherwise it's not really going to function in your gun. There's a better look at the Zeb Tech Z4 Race Connector. So we ordered their over travel adjuster, and again, you can adjust that. Then also going down the list, they do offer a Wolf spring pack. We did not go with that. And then they also offer an OEM disassembly tool. We're ghetto, so we just do it with screwdrivers and whatever we have around. Did not go with that. And then what they do offer, if I can find it here on the desk, what they offer is the Glock Orange Armor's half plate. Now, I will highly recommend that you order this if you go with the over travel eliminator, for the fact of when you go to adjust this, if you over tune it, you will not be able to get your slide back off without this part.
Yeah,
so
you
what
won't
this
be able to depress the trigger.
Exactly. So what you'll do is your back plate, after you go through, put this in and maybe do some adjustments, put this on instead of your regular back plate. And then if you over tune this too much, this will save you basically, where you can depress your trigger and get your slide off. This is like $4. Order it up. So that is the overview of what we ordered. Let's go in and do some again some more close-ups, showing you guys the differences of some of the modifications. So here's a close-up. On the left here we have Jesse's stock trigger, and on the right we have the OC custom trigger. Now this right here, I selected the smooth trigger from OC, and then this is the stock grooved trigger. I would highly recommend to go with the smooth, wouldn't you, Jesse?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you can see there again, this depresses fully smooth. You can still feel that even when you've depressed it. So again, it's...
Yep, and then right there is going to be your adjustment. That's how you adjust your, pre-travel issue?
So yeah, we'll be jumping on that here later, but right there, you basically get an Allen key as well that you can adjust and remove some of the pre-travel out of your trigger, and that's what that is right there. All right, guys, so there's the overview of the trigger system that we have from OC Custom Triggers. Let's jump into the install. All right, let's jump into breaking down our Glock. So just for you safety Nazis out there, bam, nothing. See, nothing happened. It's amazing. So we're going to remove our slide, throw that aside for right now, and we're going to disassemble our frame. And as I stated earlier, we don't have the tools, so we just kind of do our own way here. So we're just going to take a little Allen key here and knock out this top pin. And then your larger pin on bottom can be slightly difficult. If you just move around your slide stop, slide release, and then go back to it, usually makes it good to go. Then of course we'll take out our last pin here. Now we can make it so we can remove our ejector housing. Of note, when you're going through and tuning up, if you just want to go, when you're going through and adjusting your over travel, you can just remove this pin to pull this up enough to adjust that. So in the future, you can remember that. So now we've got it out, we can basically get this out of the way, put our pins where we know where they are, and then we're going to start removing everything here to remove our trigger. So there we go. There's our stock trigger, and it is being removed. All right, for the install here, it's pretty simple. Just go ahead and we put our trigger in, and then we put in our ejector housing. So that'll just snap right in, fits just like a stock Glock trigger right there. So what we will do here later on is we'll actually pull this back out and we'll adjust our our over travel. But we'll just go ahead and get the trigger in here. So yes, it's really that simple. You just take the trigger out and put their new trigger in. It does come pre-adjusted, so all you basically got to do is fine-tune it when it comes to you. So let's go ahead and reassemble our Glock with our new trigger in it.
Yeah.
All right, so we have our pins back in here. We'll put our slide back on. So now, what you see right here, we'll get in close here. So again, you can see that that's totally flat. And guess what? We're at the wall. There's our brake. That is a very small amount of travel. And then let's go ahead and look at the reset here. Bam, right there. You see that's all the take up there is to the wall. A little bit of travel, which again, that's going to be extremely hard to remove in any sort of trigger system.
Yeah.
So, because there has to be movement to obviously, depress that plunger. So, and then there's the reset. So again, take up, we're at the wall right there. So again, really nice. So there's the install here. Now let's go through and actually tweak our trigger here. All right, so now we're going to go through and adjust the pre-travel on our trigger. Now this has, again, been pretty much there, but I'll go over when you need to stop. So again, they send you all the keys that you need here to do all the work. So again, it slides right up in there. All right, so I had to get that in there off camera because it's hard to see. So basically what we do is when we turn it up clockwise, that's going to start tightening up this trigger. Now what's going to happen is if you tighten it too much, we'll cock the trigger here, is if you do it too much, what's going to happen is it's going to basically make it to where your trigger safety will be disabled. And I'll show you that here. All right, so I'm going to show you guys what happens if you tune up your pre-travel adjustment too much. So you can see our trigger safety there. You can see it's stuck. So obviously this is not what you want. You want to keep your trigger safety in your Glock. So again, if you get your Glock to this far, you need to take it back some. So let's go ahead and take it back. Okay, we tuned it down a little bit there. So you can see our trigger safety is back to normal functioning. Right there. So again, guys, you know when you went too far if your safety does not function. Okay, so the first step here when we're going to start messing with our over travel adjustment is we're going to want to remove our stock Glock plate and then install our armorer's plate. So let's go ahead and do that real quick here. Now also on this back plate of note, you'll feel like it slides in and stops. Keep pushing it till it actually pops in. Again, you need to make sure you do this before you start messing with your over travel adjustment, because if you tune it too much and you don't have this on, you're not going to get your slide off, which is usually not a good thing. So we'll set our slide aside here, and then what we all need to do is pop this one pin right here to get access to that. Okay, now that we removed our pin here, what we can do is just pull up the ejector housing a little bit there and get access to where we can put the key in here. Now basically what you're going to do is when you tighten this, you're going to turn it clockwise. So once you feel in there, what you can see is, if we can get the camera zoom in, when you turn that, that screw pushes right here, and that will stop any over travel. So what we'll do here, we're going to start with a half a turn. I'd recommend going about half turn each time. When you go too far, then I'd just go a quarter back and see how that works. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it a half of a turn here, put it in the gun, and see how it is. Okay, now that we've got our pin in, we can test out our over travel right there. Now what you'll notice is if you tighten that too much, what will happen is you'll feel like you're hitting a wall, but then you'll have to keep pushing to get your trigger to actually, break. So what you want to do is you want to work it all the way up until that point. So you're not feeling more resistance when you get to break your trigger. You want one smooth pull all the way to the break, and then as soon as it breaks, there's no other movement in the trigger. So I think we got it really good set right there. Again, I'll show that to you guys right there. So that we're hitting there. There's the break. I mean, there's no play or movement in that trigger. Now let's say, for example, you over tighten it too much. So what you'll want to do to get your slide back off is, again, this is why it's so important. You're going to go in here and you're going to push down on the bar right in here, and that'll basically make it to where you can remove your slide. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to put our Glock back plate back on here and get our gun up and going here. Alright, so we have our stock Glock back plate back on. Again, this trigger is just beautiful. Again, it's still not like a super light, like some crazy 2-pound. It is definitely lightened up a little bit. Very smooth, very crisp break. Very tactile reset here. But let's move this stuff here. Let's go back to it here, and me and Jesse kind of want to share some final shots of the install and give you guys some feedback on this trigger. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed the install of our OC custom triggers into our Ultimate Concealed Carry Handgun project. So Jesse, kind of doing some final thoughts on this here, and obviously you've had yours for a little bit. So, man, under $100, a person can customize it to however they want. They can put different colors. They can mix and match springs with it. Value-wise, man, it's hard to beat, isn't it?
Definitely, definitely. I think OC's doing it right on this one. I mean, you have a fully adjustable trigger, drop in. You can mix and match spring kits however you like, sub $100. I mean, there's not another trigger out there that you can buy for your Glock sub $100, let alone one this nice. So, I mean, again, top two, I would put this and Zeb, but again, when you come down to price point and everything, this is a better deal. I mean, you can put Zeb parts into it, so it gives you, the only thing you would be paying for is that shoe right there, which I've got the cool red one to look like it anyway.
Yeah, and of course, gold, But I don't know, for me, it's a great value. It performs great. Again, I've had that color of trigger in my Glock 34 for about 6 months now. Never had an issue with it. We should mention this is not a full review. Once we change the ejector housing here, obviously that I got to put rounds down range on that to make sure it's reliable. But you put rounds down range on yours, and you were a little, I don't know if you liked Glock triggers. You were fine with Glock triggers. You were kind of iffy, but have you been sold on them? No,
definitely. I was, like Nick said, I was hesitant just because I liked my Glock trigger. I had already put about 15,000 rounds through it, so I figured it was nice and crisp. I mean, anyone that would try my gun said, it was way nicer than stock trigger. So, and that was just from putting rounds down, but in the end, I mean, you'll never get it that polished that this comes. I get that short take-up reset. It's just a better package for sure. All for under $100. I mean, like I said, you're not losing a lot by giving it a try. So after going with it, I would never look back. I would definitely recommend the enhanced where it flattens all the way to that. Otherwise, I mean, they use all stock Glock parts. So as far as reliability goes, I don't think you're going to have any issues. So far, I've only put about 100 rounds through it since putting in this trigger, but no malfunctions yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I should also mention here from on their website, they show about 10 to 14 days lead time. I ordered mine, and I literally got it. Arrived at my house within a week. So they're definitely cranking them out over there. And something I do want to mention here, if I can find it here, is they on their little custom made for. They actually put my logo on there, so they must have looked up like my my email and because that shows Practically Tactical on there. And they went found my logo and kind of put it on there. I thought that was really kind of cool. So just those little things in the company, that ForestCityTatical does. Shameless plug as well. But again, guys, so stay tuned for a full review on this trigger. But again, you look at the value; it's got to be the best trigger out there for under $100, right?
Oh, I would say so. The only trigger out there for under $100.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the most expensive combo I think you could come up with is like $130 on there. So.
Yeah. So, well, there it is, guys. So, again, hope you enjoyed this video. And always, guys, please check out ForestCityTatical at ForestCityTatical.com for all your holster needs. Makes an awesome, awesome product here. And, again, you'll be seeing some more videos, especially as we go into the holster part of our Ultimate Concealed Carry Handgun. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Take care.